It's time for the Steve and Kyle podcast with Kyle.
You've been sitting out there on the Manchi. That's what we call it. And
We do, yeah.
You call it the Manchi?
Yeah. Hashtag Manchi Monday. Post a picture of the Comanche.
So Monday, I wish I didn't ask. Like of all the items, I didn't want to know, or calling it the Manchi and saying it's Manchi Mondays.
I don't understand.
And Steve.
You don't shut up about how you were in the trenches.
Down in the trenches.
Like, you're the guy, the World War I grunts who were literally in trenches, and Steve.
I don't.
The next documentary about trenches should be titled that. Those World War I guys and Steve.
I'm in full support of this.
Now, here they are, two guys who are living in style, Steve and Kyle.
Thank you, Melissa.
I want to make sure the music keeps playing over there. You know, we apparently had a itchy trigger finger on one of us last week.
Apparently we did. Let's just get this out of the way right off the top. The technical issues that we had last week that cut the episode off. Well, it's just hard to say whose fault it was.
Could have been either of us.
Could have been either of us.
So there was a Facebook comment saying, I blame the banker. But the majority of the feedback on that, Steve, seemed to think that if we had a producer...
Yeah, which we don't.
We would have been okay.
Let's be very clear. We do not.
We only have an executive producer.
Look, these worlds do not combine. There's zero overlap between this and my alter ego on the side gig. So look, again, like I said, not sure. Could have been either one of us.
The world may never know.
Yeah, that was. I don't know what I did, but that is 100% on me. I must have. I don't know why I would have selected the last 20 minutes of the podcast and said, "No, we don't need this." Delete, save, because I went back. I looked at the flash drive that it gets saved on. I thought, oh, no problem. The original will be saved on there. No, because Efficiency Steve had deleted the whole thing. Because I can't stand having digital waste on a card.
How big is that card?
Oh, it's like a billion gigs.
Yeah.
We could record from now until the end of time.
Right, and we'd still have room.
Not run out of space.
Right. So, but you're right. It is important then that we get that off of there.
In my defense, so with this new equipment that we have, the way that it titles and labels the audio files is very confusing. So if I leave stuff on it, if I delete everything after we record, there's one file on there. So I know exactly, I know that that's it. So it's on me. I apologize. But on the bright side, it has drastically reduced the amount of prep that we had to do for this week's episode.
Yeah.
Because now we got the A bits from last week that nobody got to hear.
We got to the real good stuff in the last 16 minutes.
Real meat and potatoes.
We'll recap the polls.
Yeah.
Later on in this episode.
From the last 4 weeks?
Yeah, boy, we are in the middle of July on these polls that I'm going to go back to later on this episode. So, it's been a weird few weeks around here. Tech issues. We've now met 1, 2, 3, 4. This is our 5th time in 2 calendar weeks, I believe, or 3 calendar weeks.
Yeah.
We tried to get something off the ground with our friends over at the commercial break.
Yeah. That was a miserable failure the first time.
It was.
But alas, we reconvened and everything kind of worked out.
Take 2 with the commercial break went down this past week, and it went down fantastic.
That was a lot of fun. We talked to them, to Brian and Chrissy from the commercial break, for probably an hour.
Yeah.
I would say it was funny because, and you'll hear this when we eventually play the audio that we recorded with them. I think next week, right? That's the plan.
We're going to be releasing that next week, as the majority of our weekly episode will be next week. Our interview with the commercial break.
That's the 24th. In case you're listening to this, the episode that will be titled Steve and Kyle Podcast, August 24th, 2021. You'll be able to hear that. We talked to them. It was funny because we connected with them. We did like a Zoom call or whatever. And so the first couple minutes we're on there just kind of getting all the settings right and everything. And then we just start BSing with them. And after about 15 minutes or so, I actually said to them, are we doing this? Is this the podcast?
Yeah.
Because we were essentially doing the podcast, having conversation with them, learning things about them, talking about the differences between their podcast and our podcast, and just having a good time, a good conversation. And then we both kind of said like, oh yeah, I guess we never really started. We never said, welcome to the Steve and Kyle podcast, or welcome to the Commercial Break podcast. We just kind of started. So it's going to, when you hear it next week, kind of abrupt, starts out of nowhere, starts on a random topic, because I needed, when I was editing it last week, I just needed to find a clean spot to start where a fresh thought was beginning.
Right. I take a point of pride every time I feel like we talk to somebody else. I think we kind of leave them at the end thinking, well, boy, I got the impression that Brian had like some questions he had to ask just in case. I don't know that you and I will ever need that on any of our interview. We've never once had to like go to a backup well of content.
Yeah.
Like it's just the way it works. It just ends up becoming an extension of what we already do, just with two more voices or one more voice or whoever we're talking to that day.
Well, especially with somebody like Brian and Chrissy, who they do 2 podcasts a week and have been doing that for the last, year and a half or so.
One too many, I hear.
One too many. So, obviously, they're comfortable talking to people.
Yeah.
We're comfortable talking to people. But the funny thing is, you leave this room and you take away these microphones and you sit a stranger down across the table from me, like somebody we've talked to in the last couple of weeks.
Sure.
And I'm like...
Yeah. So, it'd be a little bit nerve-wracking, right?
You have any kids?
So, Mr. John, tell me about 9/11.
Yeah.
Tell me, Ben, about math and murder. And it's it's totally different, and it's
very different.
It makes it a lot nicer that the way it just flows. I much prefer listening to that as well, and I'm not speaking for our listeners who interview podcasts are the thing. Right? Like every 90% of podcasts are this week we have so-and-so on. And up until a month or so ago, we've never really pushed back on that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that what we do is better or whatever, or that we're egotistical. We've done our thing our own way for 5 years. We've done it to where we like talking to each other about each other and about what's going on. So it's a little bit of, we don't really need to take the shine off of us to talk to so-and-so, but it's also a little bit of, I don't really know how a lot of those people are going to fit into what we do. I don't want to do a by the numbers.
Yeah, I think some fit in really well, some maybe not so well.
I think as evidenced by those 4 weeks of...
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I'll say 3-1.
I would say
3-1 as our record of those 4 in a row we did.
And I would say that I thought that all of them... I was interested by all of them.
Sure.
I enjoy talking to everybody. But you can just tell, like, sometimes there's more chemistry, sometimes there's not. And but no, I greatly enjoyed the people everyone that we've talked to.
Yeah, and I do love talking to new people, and I think I've kind of made it the reason I push back against those standard run of the mill, we're going to interview so and so because of so and so. I don't care about that as much as I want to talk to interesting people. And I think everybody can be interesting, as we've talked to listeners for, with 2 minutes of awkward conversation, that we've had more fun than we would talking to a professional athlete.
Are we going to do that again?
I think so. Do
we have anyone in the hopper that we could do a surprise call with today?
We need to talk. Well, the town drunk is on kind of the must list. He's been He's been barking up our tree for years because he left a review back in like 2017, and we just haven't called. I have my friend up in the UP that I want to talk to, Chris. Yeah. He's the one who sent, who's just...
He's the one that picked up a steaming hot muffler with 2 Crocs.
Yep.
Threw it in the back of his rusted Ford Ranger.
Believe it's still there. Lives in the UP. Invited us to go jeeping.
So it's
year
winter
or never.
up there now, right?
I think they've got a few weeks left before the snow hits.
So he goes jeeping, and he wants us to come up and go jeeping.
More you than me.
I think we do it. I think that. Come on. I mean, you're going to go up to visit him at some point, right?
Maybe. That's a long... You don't realize how long that is until you're there. Now, granted, you've done the drive to Jersey.
We hop in the Comanche.
Yeah.
We drive on up.
Windows open so we don't have to talk, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because also there's no AC in it, so...
Oh, Jesus.
Although we're going to the UP, so we don't need AC.
I couldn't be less interested now.
It's going to be a blast. Chris,
the only thing I want...
Mark your calendars, Chris. We're on our way.
The only reason I want to do that is just to get to that beautiful, beautiful suspension bridge that connects our 2 peninsulas.
No, we're going the other way. We're going
Chicago.
We're going around. Yeah, we're going around Chicago. We're going through Chicago, up through Wisconsin.
Yeah,
and making our way out that way. That probably only adds what, a half hour or so?
Yeah, add 4 to 5 hours to an already very long trip to get again to the middle of nowhere.
Well, I want to do something like that. I think we need to do some kind of a trip where we can package up all the equipment, take it with us. I want to do a podcast from somewhere else.
Yeah.
I want to do, even if it's just like we sit at the park and do it one day or something.
And we never really left any time when we were in Boston. I was too busy of 12 hours.
We were there for 12 hours.
Yeah, and we didn't leave enough time when we were in Van Wert because we were only there for about 6 hours, and we had, a bundle of people that we were dealing with all day anyway.
But as you'll hear next week, we left the door open for a possible collaboration podcast with our new friends at the commercial break. Would you consider yourself, take the podcast out of this?
Yeah.
Take your previous experience with the side gig out of this. Mm-hmm. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
So it's a weird question for me to answer because I talked to, minutes ago, I got, self-indulgent and told you how I'm a pessimist and a cynic and yada, yada. But I can't help but be talking to people, whether it's at work or wherever. I enjoy I was the kid in elementary school who was being punished for talking too much in class. So as much as it kind of flies in the face of a somewhat character I've portrayed on this podcast for a long time, I guess I would consider myself a bit of an extrovert. But it's different for me if I'm in a crowd of 1,000 people. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
In that. Or,
I shied away. So in a small crowd situation.
Sure. If I'm at a social gathering, let's say you're having a get-together. It's mostly Annette's friends, but you invite Katie and I would find myself talking to a lot of those people. Mm-hmm. I mean, this happened at, I believe, I don't even remember the event, Steve, but, it was before one of your live shows downtown with a side gig. Mm-hmm. And Katie and I went with Annette and her friend, I forget her name, but
Rachel
and Mike were here.
Yeah.
Found myself talking.
They're moving here.
They are finally?
They are moving here. Yeah.
I found myself talking to Mike a lot of the night.
Mike's great.
And that's totally fine.
Rachel's
I enjoyed
awesome.
it. At your bachelor party. Now, granted, I knew most of the people or everybody at the bachelor party, but it was still, I felt fine. And I love talking to everybody. I always leave those events thinking like, man, I wish I talked to him more. I wish I had more time with them, Yeah. Like I still think about I had so much fun with a friend, Joe Bodway. Mm-hmm. Fantastic guy.
Yep.
But
because I remember when we did the Van Wert trip, 3 years ago at this point? Yeah. I remember coming back from that and saying to Annette, because she was like, "Oh, how'd it go?" Because she couldn't have cared less to go with us.
Yeah, we offered both of our wives to come along,
and both of them said, "Not a chance."
It was like a look out of a movie. Like they thought we were joking.
It was like, "Oh, you want me to swim through a river of lava?"
Yeah. You would be better off asking me if I would drink acid today.
Yeah. And that is no disrespect to anyone that was there. It's not like she said, "Oh, I don't want to, meet people." She just couldn't
Yeah.
have less of an interest
Right.
in what we do once a week when we talk into microphones in this basement that smells really bad this week. Not really sure what
you see, it's musty, but for me, it's not bad.
I don't know. It smells bad to me. But anyway, we got back from that trip, and she said, how'd it go? And I was like, I think it went great.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A bunch of listeners were there. And I said to her, I was like, I think Kyle like hit high gear with talking to people. It was not what I expected you would be like in a crowd of people. But it makes sense now that you say that that crowd seemed to be the perfect size.
Sure.
But I mean, like, I was having a blast, but I looked over, I was like, man, he's really like, I feel like you kind of came out of your shell there a little bit. Oh, yeah.
And I've been that way forever. But then I hear people talk like when they're at a concert, and they view concerts as this communal gathering of like-minded individuals to a degree, because you're all there, you like one musician. But I'm not going to a concert with this intent of, I'll just fit into a group and we'll make friends.
Make friends, yeah.
That sounds awful to me. It sounds genuinely awful. And
no, maybe you go with a group of friends, but yeah, for the most part, other than like maybe that knowing glance with somebody next to you, like, yeah, they're playing this song, I love it. But even that, like, you're not, hey, so what do you do?
Yeah,
like,
you're not shooting the breeze or being like, hey, you want to go get a beer after this or whatever.
Right.
Maybe there are people like that. That's not for me.
Yeah.
And the best thing I can use to kind of explain that is the live show that you did. It was before the one that we went out to dinner beforehand, Annette and Mike and Rachel, I believe.
So that was probably,
but it was the one where we had
probably 16. No, 2015.
Yeah,
maybe?
it must have been 16 because it was after the podcast had started. Because you were sending me videos of listeners who had come here and were at the live show at the VIP.
Yep.
And I saw that, and I just knew there were 1,000+ people there, and I thought, that sounds awful to me.
That one those are always, they may look bigger, but they're, for those not familiar with what we do, when the side gig does a night show here in our hometown in Grand Rapids, we do a meet and greet beforehand where it's limited to, I think 100 people can purchase those VIP tickets. And they come out, there's a meet and greet beforehand. So we take pictures, we talk with everybody, and then they get to come up on the stage where the show is going to take place. And back behind the curtain, it's really cool. They set up basically a little, like a buffet, like a cheese and cheese and crackers and fruit and veggies, like stuff like that. And there's a bar back there, so each person gets like 2 drinks, and it's a lot of fun. It's pretty intimate. Plus, I think the coolest thing about it is it's in the space that we're going to be doing the show.
Yeah, it's not like you're at a pre-party sponsored by so-and-so bar where
just
then
you
all
room,
have to leave after 20 minutes because you still have to finalize getting ready for your big show, whatever. It's not so much the meet and greet. It was the idea of, and I pushed back, and Annette's had this issue as well. Full disclosure, at those events, I am by no means a known person or even local celebrity, but in that venue, there's likely more people that are going to recognize me than at a grocery store, right?
Sure.
And it's not that I don't want that per se. It's that I don't look forward to that part. I don't love being recognized. I don't love being recognized, and I don't want it, especially when my wife is there, and especially if my wife and son were there. Now, granted, Reed wasn't at your side gigs live at night show, whatever. It puts me out of that's totally out of my comfort zone.
It's your worlds colliding.
Yes,
it would be one thing if it was like in Van Wert. Obviously, the people were coming there because we had planned this big event.
Sure.
But yeah, if you're just walking through the grocery store. That being said, every time somebody says, "Hey, love the show," or they recognize me from the show, I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. And I always feel bad because I feel like I do a bad job of showing my appreciation. I'm always like, "Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that." But then I'm like,
now what?
Do you like? I don't want to. I want this to be a good interaction for you. You know, I'm always very.
You want them to leave thinking like, yeah, man, I met someone from the radio show. He was awesome.
Super nice.
It was fun. It was, he cracked a joke and made me laugh. Just like just like the morning show type.
The last thing I want is to get into work the next day and see the text pop up that says like, "Oh, I saw Steve at the store yesterday. He was a real jerk." I'm like, "No."
I told you, and I've mentioned this on the podcast, and I have a question to ask you, a specific question, incident about that scenario you just described. But before that, I've mentioned to you over the years when we would go to hockey games, like, there was a chance I could have just been there as a friend or whatever, but I was also an intern or employee with the side gig.
That's right.
So we would go to these hockey games and people would see you, they'd talk to you, and they'd be like, "Oh, who are you?" And I would push back on even admitting that I was an intern, simply out of fear of, the way you and I talk to each other, the way you and I, or the group of people that we would know at these hockey games would talk to each other.
Well, you talk differently amongst your group of friends than you do with people that are not your group of friends.
Yeah.
Like, we may say there are plenty of things I'm sure that we say when the mics are off that we wouldn't say when the mics are on.
Sure.
Not like crude or offensive.
You and I don't become overt racist, just to clarify, when the microphones go off.
No, but it's just like when, I don't know. I think that's everybody, though.
Right.
Take the microphones out of it. And, like, you talk differently when it's you and your buddy sitting in your backyard drinking a beer than you do when it's you and your boss in a meeting, or you and somebody you just met. Like, you talk differently.
Yeah, and I would hate that. I never wanted to be recognized for that fear of seeing an email the following day in the general inbox saying, "Saw Kyle and Steve. What a bunch of jerks."
Yeah,
and I can't believe what I overheard Kyle telling Steve about whatever.
Right,
because I was trying to pursue a career in media or broadcasting or radio at that point. I don't want the people who are helping me do that have this opinion of me, like, "Hey, he's out in public, like, talking about how he's works with us and is acting like a jerk."
Sure.
Like, no. But also because I don't really love all those interactions, and that's why.
Yeah,
you had one.
Some are better than others.
Yeah, you had one. It was 2.5 weeks ago. You met us. We had a little bit of a family get together for a little bit out at some street event here in our local town, and while you were waiting, while Reed was in like a little pull around train thing, we were standing there waiting, and somebody recognized you.
Yeah,
and it was. I feel like they all start the same way. Are you Steve?
Mm-hmm.
And it's always yep. And my first reaction, all right, I'm gonna slink out of here. So I essentially do a 180
trapdoor
and do a big wide circle to get around and away.
Yep.
And then, but this time on the way around, I said, "Hey, don't forget to mention the podcast."
Right. Yeah. And I forget the name of the guy that I talked to. Super nice guy.
Yeah.
Lives right here in town with us. But yeah, I mean, those interactions, they happen. It's weird though, because of everything that's been going on the last year and a half with COVID, it hasn't happened. Yeah. I mean, it would happen a lot more often, but I mean, just the numbers are, so down because I'm not, like, we don't go out. We haven't done anything basically in the last year and a half. It would always happen when I went to like the one home improvement store. It felt like for whatever reason, it would always happen there. So it's for the last couple of months, it's been catching me off guard because I'm so not used to it again. Mm-hmm. Because that's how it was when I first started 12 years ago. I remember the first time somebody recognized me. I was like, "What? This is the most amazing thing I've ever experienced."
I think I have a sticker or something I can give you,
right.
And it's
yeah. No, I always appreciate the interactions, but again, I always overthink them, and I'm like, I leave the interaction, whether it's pushing a grocery cart right through the aisle, and I'm walking one way, they're walking the other, and they say, "Hey, love the show," and I'm always like, "Hey, thank you, I really appreciate that. Right. Have a good day." And then like 5 seconds later, I'm like, "Stupid idiot! Who says have a good day? What am I, an idiot?"
Yeah, it's the classic, here's your movie ticket. Thanks, you too.
Right.
You always leave that thinking, I can't believe I just did that.
Yeah, and then you want to go back and be like, "I'm sorry, what I said, when I said, I thought you said have a good day. Not that you should say have a good day, but..."
You'd be better off like flat tiring yourself and tripping over your feet as you walk away.
Yeah.
I would feel better about that.
Hit my head. I just want to hit my head and die.
Than that verbal interaction. it's weird because for somebody like me who for a while wanted to get into radio and, enjoys talking to people like this and on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To not enjoy large crowds but I feel like the rush when we were discussing doing a live show anywhere, field, park, whatever.
Yeah, most likely field, vacant lot.
Yeah.
Alley of some kind.
That idea, though, that gets the juices flowing.
Yeah.
That really does for me.
It's exciting. It's exciting to think about, but it's also nerve-wracking because...
Well, one, you don't want to let anybody down.
Well, I also don't want to go through all the planning and then have 6 people show up.
Sure. I mean, you have to accept...
at our level, very likely.
Yeah.
We don't, like... a little peek behind the curtain. We're not really lighting the world on fire with this whole the whole podcasting business.
Yeah, we do okay, and like we talk about with the commercial break too. I think it's going to
we talk more in depth about the kind of nuts and bolts of it.
We don't try. That's partially on us in terms of if we ever wanted to sell spots or really promote the show or get the show out to many more masses than it already does.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't do it.
Yeah.
It's extra work that we all we look at and go, hey.
Not that I'm afraid of doing extra work, but I don't I've no problem. I feel like I go into work every day and I work hard and I do, what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I come home, I don't want to have to do that more.
Yeah, extra work after you get home from work. I wouldn't be opposed to doing, if it were to increase our audience, and again, I care so little about the money at this point because it would take, I think at this point it would take a long time to get out of the red.
Didn't we do the math a couple months ago?
I think we have. Yeah, I mean, just very brief math.
20
$240 bucks a year at hosting for 5 years.
$1,200.
So, yep, we're well over $1,000.
Didn't we make but we made, I think, $41 when we sold shirts.
Yep. So, okay, so $1,150. And then we bought a mixer. We bought new microphones. We bought new mic cables. We bought a mic stand.
We built a studio at the old place. So we're still in the red for that.
This is not a profitable venture, and again,
if somebody wants to drop $10,000, we should be able to get back into the black.
We're well on our way, though. I think we are. We got Billy Stacks,
$5 a month,
denting that debt every month.
Still waiting for other people to hop on board with the Billy Stacks.
I think that should be the only format we accept it in now, right?
A check.
You go to your bank.
Our PO box.
Yeah, you go to the bank and you demand that a monthly check be mailed to this PO box every month. In 2021, where there's, I could essentially breathe money at you at this point with technology. I just say the words $15 and have it on your watch.
Yeah.
We demand physical checks to a P.O. box.
And they need to come in some kind of a greeting card, too.
I wouldn't mind a greating card. That would be kind of nice.
Yeah, it is ridiculously easy to send money now. I was a friend of mine had texted me the other day, and it was Kelly from the side gig. She had gone to.
Wait, you guys got a female now?
We do. Yeah, we got a chick.
She's sitting in that producer booth?
No, main studio.
So you're in the booth?
No, main studio.
When did that happen?
Only 2.5 years ago.
Oh. So I like to cram them in there, huh?
So she had picked up something for me at the store before we left the show for the day. She's like, "Hey, I'm going to Costco. Do you need anything?" And there was this because we've talked about this one brand of beef jerky that is phenomenal.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, I can't find it it's never in stock at the Costco that I go to. She's found it there before at the Costco, the other one that she goes to. So she said, "Hey, I'm going to Costco today. You want me to pick up some of that?" I was like, "Yes, absolutely. If you see it, pick me up like 3 of them." She said, "Got it." I said, "Cool. How much is it? I'll Venmo you." And she sent in a text. It said $6.50, and I noticed how it had like the little line under it, like it was a link. So if I tap on the $6.50, it pops up. Do you want to
Really?
Yeah, like Apple Pay, because we both have iPhones. So Apple Pay Kelly $6.50. Yeah. Done.
Wow.
It's too easy.
That's the problem, right?
That was the first time I had seen it like that, because I've been able to, obviously I have Apple Pay, I've Venmoed people money all the time, but yeah, for that to pop up like that, it was like, I don't even have to open up a separate app or anything.
I feel like
Done.
when I started on eBay, and I think my eBay says I had my first eBay account in 2001.
Okay, I think I'm 99.
Like, that's a nice badge to have, right? Like,
It
yeah,
is.
I'm a veteran.
I'm a 135 star blue star seller.
I feel like it was such not a nightmare, but you had like 15 steps just to pay. And now you click 2 buttons and your PayPal's automatically deducted with the fees taken out or whatever they need to do.
Yep.
And it's
What do they think up next?
Full disclosure, Steve. We were going to try to pull off the Apple taste test today.
Yeah. Yeah, with the what is it called? The Cosmic Crisp.
Crisp. I went to 3 stores.
That's a lot of dedication.
Nowhere.
Nothing. Not even in the usual spots, huh?
Nope. I went to the 2 larger, like the chain that we have here. Went to 2 of those locations. Nothing. And I went to one of like the equivalent of a Publix or a Kroger or whatever. Nothing.
Really?
No Cosmic Crisp.
I was actually at a farmer's market this morning, and I kept an eye out, but I didn't see anyone that had the Cosmic Crisp. I saw the Honey Crisp. I saw,
and they can't grow them here, so that's why you're not seeing them at
so
the farmer's market.
makes
This is a
sense.
Washington Apple exclusive.
It's an import. I gotcha.
Yeah. So the hunt continues. I want to do this.
Everybody's got some Cosmic Crisps.
Yeah, or if you see them, we would need to. Oh boy, do I want to pay for shipping because it'd have to be so quick.
Oh no. To be clear, we're not paying for them.
Oh, okay.
You're paying to send them to us.
Thank you in advance.
They'll end up in our P.O. box.
Yep.
I can't imagine they'll still be good.
Mm-hmm.
If you do send them, give us a heads up on when they're going to arrive. I will go to the P.O. box that day. P.O. box you can find in the description, in the notes of this podcast.
Yeah. So the hunt continues. This will happen. I want to get a couple Cosmic Crisps in here. I want to get a couple Honey Crisps in here to compare.
Yeah.
Again, my number 1 overall Apple.
As discussed on the sidecast, Apples to Apples.
Apples to Apples. You're welcome, everybody. Yeah, boy, I'm even looking at another, the budget supermarket we have in town.
Oh, go.
None on their website there. I'm stop trying to pawn off your Gala apples and your Fujis. Get those tier 3. Tier 3 apples out of here. But the Apples to Apples live will take place.
Oh, so we're going to do a live?
I think we do a live Apples to Apples where we can properly review the Cosmic Crisp as we eat them.
Do we have to set up a new podcast feed now, or is this?
I think so. New RSS, new logo. So we're going to have to go back to Fiverr. Go find that woman from Bulgaria or wherever.
Yeah.
Who made your eyes gray and gave me moons on my headband.
Oh yeah, and then there was something with teeth too, like a sliver of my tooth was removed.
Yeah, you looked real goofy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Apples to Apples Live will be coming up at some point.
Cosmic Crisps at the local Walmart.
I wonder if it is a seasonal.
They have like the other things you might be interested in. A microwave, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
They don't know you at all.
Or a futon.
Okay.
So okay, I can't get an Apple.
Yeah.
So logically, the next best thing is futon.
Did you go to the Walmart Bachelor page? Because those items are if you're getting divorced and moving out like tomorrow.
Seriously.
You're buying a futon, a microwave.
Yeah, I'm buying the white microwave, the small one that just sits on your countertop.
And you're now a Call of Duty guy.
Yeah.
You don't have a system.
So I'm texting you at like 11:45 each night. Like, hey, you on?
Yep.
You want to play? You want to shoot some dudes in the face for the next 4 hours?
Feels like a real pot shot because like 11:35 last night I jumped on and played some Call of Duty with my brother and friend. Signal and Ryan Young. Played some Call of Duty. It's almost like you knew that.
No, that's actually reassuring for me. I know that when my life goes to hell,
you got a group.
I couldn't be more lower than I am. You'll be right down there.
Yeah. I could jump on for an hour and a half or so.
Yeah, I got nothing. I mean, I got to be up for work at 4, but
yeah,
I don't care. I'll just come home and sleep all day.
Yeah, I have never felt more aged than playing video games. And I'm not talking about the content. I'm not Mr. Back in my day, it was the Mario Brothers or bust.
Right.
I've never felt more aged because 10 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever, I used to be able to sit and play video games like 6 hours in a row.
Oh,
and
awful.
Have fun, be playing with a group, whatever. You know, you start when you're after lunch and you realize, oh, hey, it's dark out now. And if I play now for more than, I'd say 75 to 90 minutes consecutively, my eyes hurt.
Yeah.
I care less. I'm up walking around. Like after I die, you know, you have some time before you come back.
Yeah.
I'm up walking around, getting something to drink, getting a snack. Like I'm talking on the mic. I can't tell you how much it aggravates my brother and our friends Seinel and Ryan Young than when I eat ice cream while playing video games. Yeah. I apologize. I was like, hey guys, this is a bummer, but
can't you flip your little headset off or something?
Yeah, but then what if I need to chime in real quick? You know, what if I've got a funny quip that won't matter in 15 seconds when I'm done eating this ice cream?
Maybe you need like an ice cream, like beer helmet kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it just dispenses it. You have a straw. You blend it into a milkshake consistency.
Yeah.
Be perfect.
Absolutely. Oh man. But that's the one area of my life. And I don't care if people enjoy video games. For crying out loud, we were on a video game podcast with people our age or slightly younger than us who are infatuated with video games, and they talk about it, they think about it. Hobbies are hobbies. I've just aged myself out of being able to do that for long times. Yeah. And I don't miss it though.
No.
I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I used to do this for 12 hours a day, and that's how I beat Metroid, Metro Man, or whatever those games are called. And I just can't anymore.
I have zero interest in it. I was never a huge video game guy.
Okay.
I mean, I liked video games for a little while, but yeah, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, I remember when that came out when I was in college.
Yeah, like PlayStation 1 probably,
we played
right?
that and Matt Hoffman Pro BMX.
Yeah.
Played that endlessly, but for a very short period of time.
So it was a hot burn for like 2 months.
Oh, I remember my buddy Craig, sophomore year, failed out of college because of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Oh my God.
Addicted. 100% addicted to that game.
Imagine telling your children or your family that 20 years later, yeah, Dad didn't finish college. So there is a skateboarding game that if you look at now will look like 4 blocks of color on a rectangle.
I just assume he is still playing that game somewhere.
Right.
Somewhere
on that same console.
In that suite in what hall was it? We were in Willow Hall.
Same bag of Doritos.
Same bag of Doritos on the old couch that we bought at the Salvation Army for like $20.
You walk in, hey guys, want to skate?
Craig, it's 20 years later.
I have a daughter.
Craig, I have a 401k. And you're still sitting here.
Yeah. Looks like you haven't washed your hair in 4 days. And that might be generous, Craig.
Hey, do you want to recap the recap of the polls that we did from
Yeah,
last
we
week?
should get through polls here. Yeah, no question. We've been negligent.
Time to see how wrong everyone else is. It's poll recap time. Find the polls at Steve and Kyle on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thank you, Melissa Vaughn. Poll recap time brought to you by no one.
That's right, because we don't know how to run a business. No, this is a business. None this week, so no reason to check out for new polls here at Steve and Kyle. Going back quite a ways, a month. Who can make a better pie? Steve and Kyle or Sarah Lee? You and I seem to be in the camp that, hey, the company that's been doing it for a long time and sells them can do them.
Probably do it better than
Our
us.
audience does not agree. 58% of the audience, Steve, said Steve and Kyle can make a better pie. Let me tell you,
We're
can.
wrong. Yeah, I appreciate your confidence in us. By the way, if it did happen that these poll recaps were on last week's episode, like if somehow someone got them,
yeah,
apologies, but not really.
Yeah, just listen and shut up. How do you eat your apples? 68% of the audience So dive right in.
I have an update on how I've eaten them for the last week.
Yeah, because
I've been
you
a
had
slicer.
Yeah, you had Apple Day and you sliced them, I believe,
Every
right?
time I've eaten an apple for the last couple of months, I've done the slice method because I feel like you really maximize the apple.
Yeah.
You can cut away just
right
the
in that core.
The bare minimum of the core. Last month or last week or so, I've been diving right in.
What do you prefer?
I feel like there's so much waste with dive right in.
For me, it's not the waste as much as I'm worried about just the. I talked about it where like your nose is jammed up against the side of the apple.
Sometimes if you hold it on its side, if you eat it at a certain angle, the skin will like go up in between your two front teeth.
Like at one point, you always get like a bite that you're like gnawing like a beaver using your bottom teeth to like scrape a part of the apple. Slice it if you can, people. 68% of the audience, though, dive right in.
It is Saturday, August 14th, 2021, the year of our Lord, the Stephen Kyle Podcast. As you were, Kyle.
Is Washington, D.C. known for apples? 85% of the audience
I don't think so.
said no. One of my favorite polls that we've done here, Steve. Should season 3 of Missing on 9/11 be about finding a missing dog named Scruffy in Missing on Elm Street?
Absolutely.
Talked to our buddy John Walzak about that. By the way, I retweeted a thread by John Walzak yesterday on our Twitter account. Guy's doing incredible work.
Is it about missing on 9/11?
No, this is about a FOIA request related to COVID emails
Okay.
and officials and when they knew and what they knew. Outstanding work by him.
Yeah.
Go check that out if you can.
Yeah, I listened to the most recent episode, which I believe was a bonus episode. So is Missing on 9/11 done now?
I believe the main season's done. Everything that will be released now, he describes as being released in real time.
Okay.
So there will be more episodes, but they will be as he's finding out and as he's chasing down leads and as he's recording them and producing them. Steve, 66% of the audience said yes, that should be season 3 of Missing on 9/11.
Absolutely.
Are naps underrated? 76% of the audience said yes. I thought that'd be higher. Thought that would be higher. Sorry, scrolling past here. Scrolling past a bunch of our content. God, we have a lot of good content. Is the Wheel of Goo a great radio bit?
A plus bit. A plus bit.
We are at 75% of the audience said yes.
What's that other 25 doing?
Yeah, honestly. Do you not like radio? Do you not like comedy? If you looked like that, would you ever take the grease off?
Talking about
the Tonga.
The context would be the Tonga man on that.
64% of the audience said no. And if you're hiding that, the other 36%, if you're hiding that, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, idiots.
Is 94.3 K-Rock, where the rock rocks, the rock station's rock station?
We need someone to design that logo.
There's no question we need the 94.3 K-Rock.
We need it. Where the rock rocks, and then underneath that, the rock station's rock station.
Where the rock station DJs go to listen to actual rock music. 94.3 K-Rock.
When the other rock jocks get off their rock shifts, they turn to us to rock.
Ever wonder what your favorite rock jock's doing when he's on his way home from work?
He's rocking with 94.3 K-Rock, the rock station's rock station.
Where the rock rocks. 87% of the audience said yes. Is Labor Day, quote unquote, the holidays?
Yes.
56% of the audience said no. Does a deal of the century have to cap at $100?
No, of course not.
56% of the audience agree with you, Steve, and say no. 44%'s got to be a little aggravating to you.
A little bit. A little bit.
Scrolling up, I believe we are up to last week. Oh, that's right. Nothing on Facebook last week because Facebook is broken again.
Oh, yeah.
Is producer higher or lower on the totem pole than executive producer?
Lower.
92% of the audience said lower.
It's got to be lower. Yeah.
Do you always want to know what's going on in a closed-door meeting?
Absolutely. Come on. Especially when they keep turning around and looking out the window.
Right. Like
or they draw the blinds.
Yes.
In one of those offices.
89% of the audience said yes.
Mm-hmm.
Does a team need divisiveness to be a real team? 56% of the audience said yes. Who is the bigger Jeep jerk? The wave initiator or the guy who refuses to wave? 64% said the guy who refuses to wave is the bigger Jeep jerk.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus.
And lastly, what is cooler, the Harley wave or the Jeep wave? 67% of the audience, Steve,
Harley wave. It's got to be
said
Harley.
the Harley wave.
It's got to be.
I think people are tired of the Jeep wave.
I don't think. Well, I think the Harley wave is a little more exclusive, right? Probably less Harley drivers than Jeep drivers.
Yeah, there's a lot of Jeeps, not just because it's not just the Jeep Wrangler. Like there's the 15 other brands that all have to do with freedom.
The wave though is pretty much limited to the Wrangler.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is there?
If you're driving a Grand Cherokee,
don't wave.
No.
Is there a more aggressive company with their car names? The Commander, the Patriot, the Comanche.
Probably not.
I mean, because the other one's like Ford, like, hey, Explorer.
Yeah.
Go on an expedition.
F-150.
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
Yeah. Like, nobody knows what Silverado even means.
Yeah. And then you have like BMW where it's just the letters and numbers.
Yeah, letters and numbers all jammed together.
Oh, you drive an E348. Cool.
Yeah, you got the 4, the 6, and that thing.
Are we actually going to do a Fast Five this week?
You tell me. I can't see the clock anymore.
Fast Five. Hey. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That means, yes, we are going to do a Fast Five. Let's, in the true nature, in the true, going back to the true roots of Fast Five, let's try and make it
word association.
A Fast Five.
Let's do it.
All
Steve,
right, go ahead.
You kick off. I talked a lot.
Okay. Kicking off my Fast Five. Olympics.
Didn't watch enough. Didn't care enough.
Tony Bennett.
Too long. Too long of a career.
I got a quick, maybe like a 30-second blurb on Tony Bennett.
Really?
So let's start with Tony Bennett. According to his son, the music legend is retiring from performing on doctor's orders. Last week, Bennett appeared with Lady Gaga at Radio City Music Hall for what may have been his final time on stage. The legend, who just turned 95 earlier this month, later canceled the rest of his planned 2021 solo tour dates. Bennett was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2016. Traveling, his son says, is just too exhausting now.
Yeah, probably time to wrap it up, man.
I won't be doing anything at 95.
No.
Well, I'll be dead, but so that is
why
I'll be.
You're not going to make it to 95?
No way. Be lucky to make it to 60.
All right, next, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis.
Oh, no, are they still together?
Oh, yeah, they are. But
okay.
You didn't hear about the controversy.
I guess I have.
They talked about how they don't bathe their children on a very regular basis. They said they basically, once they get funky, that's when they bathe them. But they don't have like your son is what, almost 3?
2.5, yeah.
How often? When's bath night? Every night?
Every other night.
Every other night for Evelyn too.
Yeah.
It's pretty. I think that's pretty standard.
Should we get CPS called in on us? Or?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Good God. The internet's ruined everything.
Yeah.
Everything, right?
You don't do things the way I do them.
Yeah, that's a non-story.
Yeah. I don't care. I don't care how often.
In the catalog of non-stories, that's at the top of the non-stories.
Yeah. We'll talk more about this
on the turnaround.
Okay, next, the Field of Dreams game.
Oh, my God.
Major League Baseball the other night.
Oh, my God. So this reminded
White Sox
me...
and Yankees, right?
White Sox and Yankees, and was this your 5th? Was this the 5th one?
No, this is 4.
Okay. Talk more on the turnaround. Exquisite. Production, the layout.
Seemed amazing.
It was incredible to look at.
And number 5, Ted Lasso.
Steve, there's no better show on TV. Wow. I'll say it. I'll say it right now.
Stance.
I watched Friday the 13th episode. It was a Christmas episode. It's August. I laughed so hard in the middle of it. I think I almost woke my son up, and my whole body hurt from laughing so hard.
Yeah, we watched the whole first season super fast. I think we watched it in a weekend.
Yeah,
10 episodes.
They're short. They're very short.
And we've watched only the first episode of the second season. Really good. Probably going to knock the rest of it out in the next week.
It goes so fast, too. And, it's been just as exquisite in Season 2 as it has in Season 1. If you are not watching Ted Lasso on a weekly basis, right now it's the only reason I'm paying for Apple TV. Only reason.
So good. Okay, before that, we talked about the Field of Dreams game. It was the Yankees and the White Sox playing so that's the first time there's ever been a Major League Baseball game played in the state of Iowa.
Yeah.
They built a field very close proximity to the actual Field of Dreams field. I wonder why they didn't do it at the actual Field of Dreams.
I bet you the size didn't work.
Probably, yeah.
So they built this thing to the old Chicago White Sox stadium dimensions.
Okay.
I have a feeling the whatever field
probably
Comiskey? Wasn't old Comiskey, yeah. Wasn't going to allow that type of modifications to make it Major League playable. Man, this thing was the event of the sports year for me to be able to watch.
The sights were incredible.
The views, the layout.
The outfield was, so they did a chain link fence, basically, or some kind of net fencing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was corn. It was essentially just like the movie.
Just a pleasure to watch. Kevin Costner there the whole time. Just an absolute delight. Got rave reviews from viewers.
Yeah.
And I think it's they said it was the most watched baseball game in 16 years.
That's cool. I got a bone to pick with Costner, though.
Oh, no.
I mean, look. Costner's performance as Ray Kinsella, amazing.
Okay.
We can agree on that.
Okay.
30 years ago, roughly.
Yeah, 89.
Costner's performance the other night kind of left me wanting a little bit more.
Do you think he didn't want to be there?
He addresses the crowd. He walked out of the corn.
Which is very cool. Yeah.
Walked around, great camera angles. I mean, the views were amazing.
Fox did a tremendous job with this thing.
And it's, unanimously, everyone loved it, which never happens.
Nope.
But when he was given a speech, he kind of, his delivery of, is this heaven? Hey, maybe you didn't hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Is this heaven? I was like, yeah, I mean, I know that line in the movie was a kind of low-key line.
Yeah.
But, is this heaven? I said, is this heaven?
Yeah. It's that line.
Come
and
on.
It's the, what's the other line from the movie? Hey, Dad, let's have a catch.
Ray.
Oh,
let's have a catch, Ray.
So in this scenario, James Earl Jones' character was Kevin Costner's character's father.
Yeah, that's how I remember it.
89, a lot of things different.
Look, long time ago.
Fun to watch. Can't wait. Guarantee this will be a yearly event now.
Seeing that, I had talked about this a couple months ago. I think that this will turn into what the NHL has done with the Winter Classic.
Yeah, so just like the NHL also give baseball time to ruin it because NHL has ruined theirs. They used to be one game a year with the Winter Classic, and now it's a series of 12 games over a week long in different areas.
They do it in warm weather climates.
Awful.
No, you have to do this in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Or in Minnesota.
Yeah.
On New Year's Day. That's it.
Yeah, the NHL ruined their one gimmick they had.
Yeah. Yeah. People will come, Ray. All right, before that we talked Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. Created a lot of controversy when they were on some podcast or something.
Is there any benefit for celebrities to talk?
No.
Because
I don't care how often someone else bathes their kid.
Yeah.
It's not I'm never around Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. And if I was, and if their kids stunk, I'd be like, hey, kid stinks. Maybe bathe them.
Yeah, when was the last time he got a bath?
Oh, never.
Oh, wait, you're still Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis? You don't care? Cool.
Yeah.
There's just no benefit for them to say, for any celebrity to say anything because you're just waiting for the internet to be outraged about whatever it is.
Because if they had said, we give them a bath every 3 days.
Yeah.
Every 3 days?
Yeah.
Huh.
Doctors say this, and YouTube doctors say this, and just leave me alone.
Yeah. Okay, Tony Bennett finally hanging up the headphones after 95 years.
toured for more than 70 years. He was a professional singer. 95 years old. Doctors finally intervening to say, enough.
You can't do this anymore, man.
Enough is enough.
That guy, he's worked himself to death.
Yes.
He's like you said, 70 years he's been performing. He should have hung it up
20 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say that at 80.
Yeah.
75 or 80. Like, he didn't need the money. Why was he still doing it? He now has no time to enjoy the fruits of his labor. He'll be dead within a year.
Yeah. I would have never guessed he was 95.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good, but he was still performing. He had recorded that album with Lady Gaga within the last couple of years.
God, this is horrifying. I'm sorry. I just wanted to see if I could get an update on another kind of singing legend in Wayne Newton.
Oh, he doesn't.
Because I kind of compared them.
Good, right?
Steve, I don't know what happened.
He looks like he has changed ethnicities.
So jet black hair.
Yeah.
Paint. A lot of paint up top.
Is he still doing his? Because he had like a
Vegas. That's what I was curious about. He's been in Vegas forever, right?
Yeah, that's been his thing.
I don't even know where he was in Vegas. I just know that Wayne Newton is synonymous with Las Vegas, and he's been performing since 1959. His signature. I wonder where he is. Oh, finances and legal problems in the 80s. Okay.
I'm sure he's married to like a 28-year-old bombshell or something.
Yeah, I wonder. We'll have to follow up on old Wayne for the coming episode here, see what he's up to.
All right, and before that, the Olympics, the 2020/2021 Tokyo Games.
The lowest rated Olympics in a long time.
By a long shot.
And didn't seem to capture this American spirit that a lot of times the Olympics do. I mean, 2 days beforehand, we were talking about how it's possible it would be canceled. So I guess I can't say I'm surprised.
No. And then
but anytime you see lowest rated in forever, well, those things garner billions of dollars from television networks.
That's right. I'm sure that in less than 6 months, when the Winter Games kick off, everything will be back to normal.
2 Olympics. 1 year.
It hasn't happened since. That did happen.
Oh, has it ever?
Yeah, I thought that it like in the 90s.
Was it in 96?
Yeah, in the 90s when they did like that transition, because it used to be. Didn't they used to be?
Oh, I forget.
I thought they used to be every 4 years, but winter and summer were on the same. I don't remember. Anyway.
Fast 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We don't go that in depth.
From 1924 to 1992. The summer and winter games were each held the same year. I did not know that.
Yeah, and then they switched it up so they would be offset by 2 years.
Smart. I didn't find myself thinking I would call the International Olympic Committee smart. Here we are.
No.
First on my list, Steve. Field of Dreams game.
Field of Dreams game. Let me tell you, I was a little disappointed.
Don't you do this.
With Costner. But, I mean, do you agree is this heaven?
Costner has this vibe that a lot of people attribute to Bruce Willis to a real mail-it-in vibe.
Kind of.
And I kind of get a Harrison Ford-esque curmudgeon-y thing out of Kevin Costner. A lot of people get into their older age of celebrity and they really sink into it and like it. And they're happy because they've had decades of success in Hollywood and they're still famous. But some of those guys, like I mentioned, Harrison Ford and maybe a little bit of Costner, they don't age into it. They turn grumpy.
Why didn't they have James Earl Jones there?
Yeah, what was he up to?
He's alive, right?
I wonder if he was more money. Did Costner plug anything?
He is. Like new Big League Chew or something?
Yeah, like because in my mind, I know he's on the television show Yellowstone that's coming up. That's not airing till like next year.
James Earl Jones still alive.
Hey.
90 years old.
Maybe that's why. 90 and someone says you want to go to Iowa and he says why.
Yeah, I did that. Did that 30 years ago.
Next up, the booster shot.
Yeah, they're going to start recommending that for people who are like
severely immunocompromised.
Okay. So,
to start. But the thinking is that this is going to eventually roll out recommended for everybody.
Yeah. Good.
You in line?
Well, I'm not immunocompromised.
If it becomes,
Yeah, I mean, if they start recommending that I should get it every year, just like the flu shot, yeah, of course, because why would I question what medical professionals and years and years of science research?
Have you checked YouTube? Next up, Britney Spears.
Oh, I saw her father's going to step down.
Yeah, 13-year conservatorship. He's stepping down after mostly public pressure has kind of forced this.
Does that mean she will no longer have a conservator, or
I guess.
she will,
or she gets to pick her own? Maybe, I don't know. I didn't read enough into it because this movement has kind of gripped the internet the last
strange thing,
6 weeks.
Right?
Because I would argue 13 years ago, most people would have said, "Yeah, this is probably a good idea." So
I'm assuming that the reason that she had a conservator in the first place, like, has he just been the conservator since she was a teen star when she was...
No, this only came into play after the shaved head umbrella at the car incident.
Gotcha.
That was causing a bit of a public meltdown on her end.
Yeah, because it seemed like she was obviously... It's crazy. You know something, we'll talk more about this on the turnaround. Yeah.
Next up, Louis C.K. had a big comeback show.
Did he?
Madison Square Garden.
Wow, I did not know that.
On Friday, I believe.
Packed house?
Packed house.
I mean, not surprising.
Joked about everything except his own scandal. So, kind of mixed reviews on the performance, but I think that's probably a little bit jaded by... Do you think people were there hate watching? Or are you not paying that ticket price? You have to be a genuine fan who's interested in the comedy, right?
I bet that it was probably a very friendly crowd for him. This is knowing nothing about it. You could tell me that it was complete opposite.
Yeah. I don't know what the time frame is, or if there is one.
I don't know. Yeah,
I don't feel comfortable chiming in enough even to say, because in my mind, listen, if the guy can book a venue and people will pay for tickets,
yeah, I mean,
at what point is it my job to say you shouldn't be able to do that?
Right. I mean, if there's a promoter that wants to work with him, and he wants to work, and people want to buy the tickets, I'm not going to see Louis C.K.
Right.
Personally,
it's just a very weird scenario. This
is
kind of one of the first large scale efforted comebacks from Me Too and the kind of the cancel movement of the late teens.
You got to wonder is Matt Lauer eyeing this really closely, saying like, all right, he did it. I wonder when, because Lauer has been basically
non-existent for a decade, right?
For
6-7 years.
No, it's only been probably 3 years.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Boy, that feels like just
because he was. I mean, he was part of the one of the big takedowns of the Me Too movement.
2017.
Yeah,
2017. It's so strange because I don't know. Time feels so fluid now. Like I was talking yesterday. Can you guys believe that Tiger King was 2020?
Yeah.
I feel like that was
a year and a half ago.
Like I'm just as likely to tell you that was the first ever documentary.
Yeah.
Because it felt like forever ago.
Yeah, with these stories, I don't know. I don't know what is appropriate. And I mean, maybe we do now. Maybe this is, because Louis C.K. it had to be at least 3 years ago, right? 3-4 years ago. And even to say appropriate feels weird. I don't know what the new normal is going to be for somebody to come back from such a horrific thing.
Yeah, it seems, I mean...
that they did.
Yeah. It seems like anytime Ronan Farrow catches you in his sights, it's not going to end well for you.
No.
That's what I think we can agree on. Lastly, Steve, Afghanistan.
Are we out fully?
No, I believe we're a couple weeks away.
Yeah.
Taliban has overtaken more than 50% of the country in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's not good.
Seems like the instant the U.S. loses its presence there, it's probably going to fall back under 100% Taliban control, leaving the better part of 20 years all for naught. I shouldn't say that because I don't know. I haven't been there. I think we probably both know people who have been there for in service. I don't know what it was like there when we first got there. I don't know what it's like now, but by all outside viewpoints, you see a map of Taliban control, and it's just back to where it was.
Yeah.
They're probably now just more pissed than they were.
Yeah, I mean, they're 2 decades behind on their initiatives.
Yeah, so
I don't know. What do we do? Do we stay there forever?
Yeah, no. This is it's Vietnam question all over again. I'm not saying this is Vietnam. That's I'm not here to compare wars. This is that same question though.
Yeah,
it didn't seem like we were going to be able to make significant permanent change in Vietnam unless we stayed there. And it's been almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
What do we do at this point?
I mean.
They've tried everything. We've done the boots on the ground. They've done the shock and awe campaign in 2003 or whatever it was. We've done everything in between. You can't keep telling these service members, granted it's their job and I'm sure they're comfortable accepting that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you continue to tell them, hey, we need you another 12 months over there in this campaign that we've been at for 12 months, 20 times over.
Right.
So a pretty bad situation there. But yeah, it's supposed to be all removed there by the end of August, I believe was the initial goal by President Biden. Before that, Louis C.K., we talked about that. When is long enough enough? Who knows? I don't think there's a time. There's just as many people on the side saying, no, he should have been able to come back sooner, as I will never support or see Louis C.K. again.
Yeah, and I think that, I guess, those don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Sure.
I mean,
what percentage do you think is the middle? They don't care, but if they got a ticket if somebody, if it's a cheap ticket to Louis C.K., they'd go see him. What's the percentage of not hard and fast black and white? I don't know.
Because I think 5 years ago I would have gone to see Louis C.K.
2016.
I wouldn't have. Yeah. I don't think, I wasn't by any means a Louis C.K. super fan, but if you had bought tickets and said, hey, I got a ticket, $50, you want to go see Louis C.K., I would have been like, yeah, I'll go see Louis C.K. Mm-hmm. I'd feel dirty going to see him now, though.
Okay. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I'm not posting this as me saying this is right or this is wrong, because nobody knows. Yeah. I'm not saying it's unprecedented, but the news cycle's so different now. You can't tell me the guys in the Rat Pack in the 50s and 60s don't have numerous claims against them that were, hey, you sexually assaulted me, or you did this, or you used your power to coerce me into this. But nobody cared back then.
Now, what if Louis C.K. had a different kind of comeback? Like, what if Louis C.K. all of a sudden said, like, hey, I am really into pottery, and started posting pictures on Instagram of like these beautiful vases that he's making, or like a salad bowl. Do you think there's as much of a fervor about him coming back, or how does he?
Yeah, can he come back but just not do comedy anymore?
Yeah,
but it's not like what he did to those women was comedy related. It was fame related. So
yeah, it's power.
I don't know. It again for what I can understand, this appears to be somewhat unprecedented in terms of how we're handling people trying to come back into the public limelight. I mean,
because he got there's 3 elements to his comeback: a promoter willing to work with him wanting to work, and people willing to pay. And if all of those 3 things are there, then I mean, do it, I guess.
Yeah. And for all the things that he did, and he admitted to, I'm saying this, that he did because he admitted to doing them, the man wasn't charged with anything in a criminal court. The court of public opinion obviously is incredibly negative to what he did, because what he did was immensely wrong, right?
Yeah, I think he's a scumbag, but I mean, there are plenty of scumbags that still make a living.
Yeah.
So I'm doing what I can by not supporting him.
I don't know what's right or wrong.
If people don't want to go see him, then they won't go see him.
Yeah.
But if he didn't get charged with anything and there are no restrictions keeping him from doing what he does, then I guess he's allowed to just do it.
And listen, I'm more than happy to admit any blind spot I have, because I've trumpeted the idea of trying to separate the artist from the person. On this podcast, I've done this with Floyd Mayweather. And, one of my favorite wrestler of all time is Stone Cold Steve Austin, who is notoriously a domestic abuser as well. Mm-hmm. And he's got a primetime show on the USA Network. He's very successful with his own podcast series he has. He still appears on WWF or WWE programming. It's a different time, though.
Yeah.
I'm very open, understanding my blind spots about this. I just don't know how to handle a guy like Louis C.K.
I have no idea.
Before that, Britney Spears. I'm doing a little bit more reading on this, Steve. Quote, Jamie Spears is not stepping down unless the court approves payment of the attorney's fees that he is seeking of $1.2 million and his compensation. So he's conditioned his exit on the court approving things that previously Britney has objected to. But maybe
she's
now
gotta pay him. So she's got to pay him a couple $1 million.
Yep, to go away. To imagine that. Hey, Dad, here's $1 million. Never talk to me again.
Yeah.
You don't have to be close to your father or your family, but to look at that from an outsider's perspective, to see a father-daughter relationship or a father-child relationship crumbling, and now knowing that it's going to end with a check.
I would love to know, just like everybody else, I'm sure, I would love to know the finances of the two of them. Like, what has she made since the conservatorship started? Sure. What has he made since the conservatorship started? Because if you believe what comes out of her camp, he basically forced her to perform, and she
didn't want to.
Yeah, didn't want to.
Yeah.
So you would assume that means that he was benefiting financially in a huge way.
Sure, and
I wonder. I would love to know more about that.
Mental health issues don't just go away.
No.
A lot of times they're not remedied. They're dealt with, and I think that's what we had here. They found an avenue for her to cope with whatever mental health issues she was dealing with. And then it seems like the dad said, all right, back on the horse. And she had that Vegas residency, and it got, she was a worldwide performer again. It's
embarrassing to think of how we looked at stuff like that even 10 or 15 years ago.
Totally different.
Because I'm sure that I was on the bandwagon of like, oh man, she's crazy. She shaved her head. She's nuts.
Right.
Look at her. What the heck's wrong with her? Just keep singing. You're making millions of dollars, idiot. And now it's like, now you look back on it and it's embarrassing to think about that. And I'm not embarrassed to admit that I no doubt judged people.
No question.
Called people crazy, called people, stupid, called people whatever. And I like to think that in my, in the last 20 years, I've evolved a little bit, and I have a softer approach, and I have a more understanding approach. And maybe that's just natural progression of getting older. Maybe it's the fact that I'm a father now, or maybe it's the fact that all of these things have been put in the limelight of like, hey, this is, mental health is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is not just somebody who's, depression's not just someone who's feeling a little sad. It's a real thing. It's a real chemical issue, biological issue.
Another instance of that is this past week, first part of a documentary series called Untold. This episode called Malice at the Palace about the famous Indiana Pacers Detroit Pistons. I'm not interested.
Really?
This feels so. I kind of got this vibe from The Last Dance last year. It was a Michael Jordan production.
Yeah.
Right? That wasn't about the Bulls. That was putting a shiny coat on Michael Jordan's efforts as a Chicago Bull. Yeah. Every other Bull in that periphery regarding that series is mad at Michael Jordan about the way they were portrayed.
Mm-hmm.
But ESPN needed Michael Jordan. So
sure.
Michael Jordan helped make that whole series through a Michael Jordan colored lens.
Yeah.
This is produced by Jermaine O'Neal, one of the principal actors in the Malice at the Palace.
Yeah.
There's one Detroit Piston in the entire thing. It's a little bit slanted, but we digress. Where they talk about Ron Artest, who later became Meta World Peace, and people are like, oh, he's a bit crazy, right? Jermaine O'Neal openly, Ron Artest traveled with a therapist every day, and they didn't understand why, because that was 2004, 3.
Yeah.
It didn't, people didn't understand that then. And there's the iconic image of Ron Artest laying down on the announcer's table.
Mm-hmm.
And Jermaine O'Neal in an interview on the Dan Le Batard show said he was doing what his therapist told him to do, which is count to 5 to get back to your center, something like that. And while he was doing that, the cup of beer hit him. And that just sparked it all worse.
Yeah.
So,
That's wild.
yeah, mental illness has come a long way. Still a long way to go. But, yeah, in the last 15, 20 years, it's come a long way. Before that, the booster shot. You're in line. I'm in line. If these things become recommended or mandated, please, 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 people, do not. I'm not going to do it on this podcast where I argue with people. Just do what literally decades of science has recommended us to do. Get the shot that's necessary. You can see it's getting very, very bad.
It's just frustrating that the people who yell the loudest about wanting to get back to normal are the ones that are least willing to do anything.
Yeah. You and I are 2.5 weeks away from entering the worst state in the country for this.
Oh, we canceled.
You did.
Canceled our trip.
Because it's through the roof right there.
Mm-hmm.
Right
yeah.
now.
I talked to my dad the other day.
Terrifying.
And I was like, hey, we booked our flights. And he's like, okay. And I know that because I think we were still going to go. But when he was like, well, I mean, if you can cancel, I wouldn't be, it would suck, but I'd understand.
It's a bit nuts down there.
Yeah.
And the governor not doing anything to really mitigate.
Oh, the governor is actively making it worse.
Yeah. He's offering now Regeneron, which is $1,000 a dose.
Right.
Instead of just saying just either wear a mask or get the shot.
Get the shot for free.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get that Regeneron shot, like, what are you doing? You could get the shot for free.
Another one for free that will prevent
so is the Regeneron shot?
Well, it's all anecdotal.
So that's not made by big business that's trying to put a robot in you,
right,
or a tracking device.
Please.
That's made by the good guys.
Let's just try to make this fall and winter where we don't enter a phase of death larger than the last year and a half.
I would still like to talk to somebody who is anti-vax.
It's the same stuff, though, Steve. You and I are going to be just as aggravated when we hear, well, it's not approved. Why did we rush this when it's not approved? Well, we didn't rush anything. This technology's been around for the better part of 2 decades.
Yeah, 20 years.
mRNA vaccine technology has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
They had to hone in on the proper way to use to attack this certain virus.
Well, it's like every year.
That's why it happened faster. Also, listen, you cannot be a fan of Trump or whatever. The money injection into these corporations to do it, sure, it helped. If you want to take a political victory lap over that, I don't care anymore.
Right.
Take a political victory lap on your way to a vaccine clinic to actually get this thing that your former president and savior that you're looking to for this light greenlit and boosted himself to do.
Yeah.
Please, for the love of God, stop it. I don't want to get sick because I might die.
If there's somebody on the fence that wants, I understand apprehension. I understand if you're nervous about something. I was like, I would say a year ago, if you had said, hey, there's going to be this vaccine, it's going to be out and you're going to be able to get it in the next 6 months, I would have been like, oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of crazy. I don't want something that they just threw together, they just cobbled together. But then I learned more about it, and it was, again, this is going back to 2000 or 2001 when SARS was first discovered or whatever. And that's when they started working on it. And then I realized, then I learned that, the flu shot every year is different. It's a little bit different than it was the last year because they have to hone in on whatever
strain,
the specific strain is. So basically, if you're getting a flu shot every year, which I know a lot of people don't, and for a long time I didn't, just because I never thought about it.
I've totally turned on that the last few years.
Yeah.
I've gotten
it the last 2 years.
Yep.
And I mean, there's a reason why the last year, this is like the healthiest I've been.
I'm now the guy who in September, I'm calling my doctor's office saying, hey, when are you getting this year's flu shots in? And I'll be there typically like first week in October because they recommend you try to get it at a certain point because the lasting, the efficiency of it, however long it lasts. Like we don't want to do it too early, and then if it burns out in February, and then there's still a big flu wave. But listen, people, I don't know. It's not worth it to even beg anymore. I've said it to friends and family now. We got to 50% by choice. We're going to get to 80% plus by force. So the people standing outside hospitals forcing children to hold a sign says, why would you fire my mommy? Well, one, what are you doing abusing children like that, forcing them to be a mouthpiece? And two, I couldn't support a hospital more if I wanted to. Mandate these. You're getting a flu shot every year. You should be mandated to get this. We didn't knock out polio with people saying, well, I don't know about that scientist. I saw something on a video website that claims their daughter got a lockjaw. Enough.
I would love to talk to somebody. And it's not going to be an attack or anything. Yeah. But I would love to talk to somebody, especially somebody who's just like, I don't know. I'm scared. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know. I just like to hear other points of view. It would be interesting to hear it.
I'm just immensely aggravated over the whole situation.
Yeah.
Lastly, Field of Dreams game, Steve. You hate Kevin Costner. That was the takeaway.
Kevin Costner is an American treasure. Ray Kinsella is an American treasure. Kevin Costner did not live up to his Ray Kinsella.
Steve is actively not watching any Kevin Costner movie since the Field of Dreams.
Oh, what's it? Oh, okay.
What's Kevin Costner do?
It's not like he's got a ton of movies coming out in the next 6 months.
He's on a TV show that's on that's pretty well watched. But yeah, he's not doing 2 movies a year. You're right.
Oh, my apologies to Robert. We lost him by 22 and a half minutes.
66 years old.
Good for him.
Get rid of the soul patch, Kevin. Good God. What are you doing?
Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Steve and Kyle. Next week, we're excited. You'll hear the conversation that we had with our friends Brian and Chrissy.
7 kids.
Brian and Chrissy have 7 kids?
7 children for Kevin Costner.
Talk to our friends Brian and Chrissy from The Commercial Break. You can check them out. Is it TCB?
It's The Commercial Break on Instagram, I know. TCBpodcast.com is where you can find all their stuff. We'll plug them properly next week.
Talk to you next week. See ya.